What's going on, guys? So we are out here at the fifth wheel, and today's video is going to be interesting because we are making a modification. I also consider it an upgrade to the fifth wheel that is going to give me some weight savings. Now, a lot of folks might say, you know what, most of the time you see weight savings in an RV, it's typically done to reduce the amount of payload that you're putting on the actual RV. And that's not what we're doing today. We're doing something a little bit different. Okay, so anytime you buy a new RV, it's going to come with a spare tire. In the case of our new Brookstone, it did come with a spare tire, and it was mounted to a steel wheel. Well, the tire itself, which was the Goodyear tire that was on there, that J-rated K-Max tire, actually weighed about 75 pounds. Plus, the rim itself, the steel wheel, because it's a heavy-duty wheel, had about a 55-pound weight to it. So I was able to reduce some weight by simply moving to the Continental tire, which is a 65-pound tire. So it shaved 10 pounds off of the entire spare tire assembly. But my concern isn't so much adding the weight to the RV, it's the weight to the small cable that actually holds it in place underneath the chassis of the fifth wheel. And it has about 150-pound max weight rating on it. So whenever you count the tire and the rim, I have 120 pounds hanging from it, which is heavier than I like. So my entire goal is to remove as much weight as possible. And if I can reduce that by about 20 pounds by simply moving from the steel wheel that's there to an aluminum wheel, well, that in itself is a safety precaution that I think is worth taking. So that's going to be the goal today. We're going to remove the wheel tire assembly and we're going to replace it with a new wheel, which is going to reduce the weight by about 20 pounds total. So typically a G-rated tire on a rim is going to weigh about 90 pounds. Whenever we're done with all of this, we're going to be right at around 100 pounds, maybe a little bit less actually, and will only be about 5 to 10 pounds heavier than if we had a G-rated tire on a steel wheel underneath. So good upgrade to do, and I think it just makes sense to remove as much unnecessary weight from the cable holding the spare underneath as possible. Okay, so once we rip that old wheel and tire out, we are going to dismount the tire and put it on this new wheel. This is actually the same wheel that is on the fifth wheel currently, and my good friends over at etrailer.com stock this wheel. First of all, it meets SAE J1204 standards. This is a 17.5 by 6.75 wheel, 17.5 inches in diameter, and 6.75 inches in terms of width. And this has a maximum cargo capacity of 6,050 pounds. These are the same wheels that are on the fifth wheel. Very, very nice. Comes with the steel valve stems already in place, made by a company called Sumac Wheels, and they're distributed by Lion's Head. Very nice aluminum wheel, and they look really good. You know, at first I was kind of, curious on how much I would like this design, but it's kind of grown on me, and I think they look really good, especially considering the overall size, weight capacity, and the weight of the wheel. So how much does this wheel weigh? It weighs about 35 pounds. So my goal here is going to be to drag out the old wheel from underneath the fifth wheel, dismount that tire and have it mounted on this wheel, which is going to shave off the weight that is resting on the cable that supports the spare tire and wheel under the fifth wheel currently. So let's get that dropped down and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so my goal here today is going to be to unwind this, which will drop the spare tire assembly down onto this plastic lid, which will help me slide it out. If you saw the video when we got these new Continental HTL2 Eco Plus tires mounted, this back one was a bear to get out, and that was on smooth concrete simply because of how much it weighs. Again, the goal is to limit as much weight on this back assembly as possible, because last thing I want to see happen is that cable snap while I'm going down the road and all of a sudden I have this huge tire projectile going out the back of the RV. So we're going to go ahead and start turning this to drop the wheel down. This shouldn't take very long at all. They put the handle in the front basement storage area, which retracts this. And it actually retracts pretty quickly. Once you have it on the ground, you want to keep retracting just a little bit further. That way you have the slack to get the actual peg or whatever you want to call it out from the inside of the wheel. So there you go. That's the spare tire on this very, very heavy steel wheel. So removing this is going to remove a lot of weight. And if there's ever an incident, and for some reason if one of these massive burly tires ever goes out, we'll have a matching setup to put on. We won't be driving around on this interesting looking steel wheel when the rest of them are aluminum. That is stupid heavy. I mean, just ridiculously heavy. So I'll feel a lot more comfortable when this one's installed. Okay, we have them all loaded up in the back, and our next stop should be Discount Tire if they're able to do this. In the case of my truck, they won't even touch it because it's considered medium duty. The wheels and tires are outside of what they will work on. I have to take it to a commercial truck shop. For the wheels here, I'm sure they do 17.5-inch wheels, but I'm not 100% certain. So I'm gonna have to take it there to see if they're willing to dismount this tire and throw it on there, considering the weight rating of the tire, considering they typically don't work on tires that have this heavy duty of a weight rating. And all that has to do with the sidewall, how it's designed, how the bead sits. Basically, if they don't have the equipment that's strong enough to break that bead, pull it off of the rim, that could be an issue. So next stop, Discount Tire, or whoever I can get to swap the tire over to the new rim. Okay, so just wanted to give you a quick glance at that cable underneath so you have an idea of what it looks like. That cable is only about 1/8 of an inch thick. This entire assembly up here is actually sold by LCI, and it's rated at 150 pounds max. So you can imagine having it mounted back here whenever you're going down bumpy roads and all of that. That force that's being put on that cable can far exceed probably 150 pounds if you have a super heavy tire. So by us actually removing that assembly and reducing roughly 20 pounds from it, it's giving us a bit more of a safety margin in the event that there's a lot of downward force that's taking place because you're going over a lot of expansion joints, things like that, and it's limiting the amount of stress that's actually on that little cable right there, which is the entire goal of doing all of this. So now that we have the spare wheel and tire taken off, we're going to head over to Discount Tire or wherever we can get it swapped over and put the aluminum rim on. All right, so I was in luck. I took it to Discount Tire here in Corpus Christi. Clay, who is the general manager at that location, is a phenomenal person. He has an outstanding crew, and you know what? If there's one thing I love about Discount Tire is that they're consistently awesome. Every time I go there, I have a positive experience. It's almost like going to a restaurant where you know the service is fantastic, and that's the experience I get from Discount Tire every time I'm there. So huge plug for Discount Tire because, again, just I leave happy every time I go there. It's really cool. Anyways, we got the tire mounted. I'm not gonna say it was a simple process. Typically I would film that process, but you know, the folks over there were extremely busy and they admitted that mounting a 17.5-inch tire on a rim, especially a J-load rated tire onto that rim, is not the easiest task, and it sometimes takes more than one person. But I just picked the tire up, everything's ready to go. I'm headed back to the RV so we can get it mounted underneath. Okay, so we are back from Discount Tire. Fortunately, they were able to dismount the tire off of this steel wheel, which weighs about 55 pounds, and mount it on this aluminum wheel, which weighs about 35 pounds. So just between switching wheels, we shaved 20 pounds off of the spare. Now, we also saved 10 pounds by switching to this Continental tire. So the Goodyear tires, the K-Max that we had on here, which is the exact same size, same load rating, just a much lower speed rating than this. This has a 75 mile an hour maximum speed rating. Well, that tire weighed 10 pounds more than this tire. So this is a 65 pound tire, whereas the Goodyear in a 245, 70, 17.5 is a 75 pound tire. It's a very heavy tire. So in total, we saved 30 pounds just by doing this change, switching to the Continental and moving to an aluminum wheel. So whenever you think about the amount of weight we've now removed from the cable that will be holding it, we've saved 30 pounds. we've reduced the entire assembly to about 100 pounds from about 130 pounds. So that is really cool. Saved a lot of weight. So this is going to give me a little bit more peace of mind when it comes to trusting that that cable will be able to support this whenever we're going down the road. And if you compare this weight to a typical travel trailer or RV, you typically see about a 60-pound spare tire, right? The wheel itself is about 25 to 30 pounds, and then the tire is about 30 pounds. If you look at a fifth wheel with a typical F-rated tire, you're looking at about a 75-pound assembly. And if you look at a typical G-rated tire on a 16-inch wheel, you're usually around 90 pounds. Whenever you move up to a 17.5, you're usually between 90 and 95 pounds because you have a lower profile tire, even though the rim is slightly larger. In the case of what I have here, the rim is slightly larger because it's a 17.5, but we also have a much beefier tire, this being a 245 versus the traditional 215 17.5 you might typically see. So again, we shaved about 30 pounds off, and now we weigh just about as much as your traditional G-rated tire on a 16-inch wheel. So that right there is a lot of peace of mind. Anyways, we're going to drop the tire down. We're going to go ahead and put it back on this plastic lid, slide it in place, and crank it back up. All right, so we are all finished up here, and I can't really tell you how it feels unless you've done something like this, to where you've reduced the stress on something or you've modified something in a way that just gives you more peace of mind. When we put the little V-braces inside of the shackle hangers, upgrading to these tires with the higher speed rating, changing out the spare, at least the wheel, to a lighter weight wheel and even a lighter weight tire with the Continentals, all these little things just give you peace of mind. They add to that peace of mind. Even putting the rollers on the back, they give you the feeling that you're less likely to encounter a problem. Now, some of that may be kind of like the placebo effect where you just think you are, but the reality is all these little things at least address potential issues that could occur. Could I still lose a shackle hanger? Of course. Could it be due to something else? More likely than a standard failure. You know, with the tire now under here weighing so much less, have I reduced the risk that the cable is overstressed? Yes, I have. These little things can really help you, even if it just comes to securing things a little bit better, doing slight modifications to your RV. Again, just to give you that peace of mind that you're doing everything you can to mitigate the chance that something could go wrong. Even the heavy-duty shackle straps, an upgraded suspension equalizer, all these things, disc brakes, they're really designed to give you more peace of mind. Do they absolutely create a safer environment for you? They do. But again, you never know what's going to happen on the road. You never know what kind of scenarios could exist that could put your RV in danger, put you in danger, your tow vehicle. It could be another driver. But the reality is, at the end of the day, anything you can do to give you a little bit more peace of mind, to make your travel a little bit less stressful, and to make you feel at least things are in a better position now than they might have been before you did these upgrades, I think are beneficial. So they're all things to think about. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. I'll put a link to eTrailer's wheels, or trailer wheels, in the description of this video if that's something you might be interested in. I definitely want to give a big shout out to eTrailer. They are a phenomenal sponsor to the channel, and they did provide that wheel to me, so definitely a big shout out to them. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.